why do you think it's important to build a learning organization?
If you want to innovate, and I'll talk about the innovation is key, right? If you're doing the, if things are not evolving and shifting and changing, then maybe new knowledge isn't needed. But if you're, and that's just not reality. I can't think of one business that would be in that world, right? So if you look at where we are and where we've been, you need to learn constantly, because if you don't learn, how can you make things better? So my favorite word is Kaizen. So Kaizen is a Japanese word for continuous improvement, right? And I love that. And that's probably one of my mantras, is that, continuous improvement, and I teach my children that. So the only way to continuously improve is to learn, right? So we need to learn what interests us, right? And those varying learning experiences can help, and that's where the diversity comes in, right? So learning behavior styles, right? That's important. And because of the technology evolution and what we know more about neuroscience and our brains and how we behave, we can now look at things differently. So if we want to do something to change people's lives, or we want to create something that brings value, are we looking at what the impact is long term? Are we looking at the behavior we're trying to create, right? Or if we create something, what behavior are we looking at that may impact as a result of doing this? Because I think sometimes we don't think things through, right? And we create something, and then we end up seeing, okay, wait, maybe that wasn't a good idea, and it's too late, right? It's already here, and so we didn't. Maybe if we thought a little bit more about it, and did a little experimenting on it, and to see what the long-term impacts were before we make these big decisions, might benefit everybody. And I'll use the traffic light as an example. Traffic lights are interesting, but if you put a traffic circle in, the behavior you create is very different from a traffic light that you put in that's red and green and yellow, right? Especially in a very rural area where people just want to go whoosh. And when you're teaching your child to drive, I've heard parents say this, and children say this, or young adults, is that yellow means go faster, right? So it's run the light, not slow down, right? And so if you go through a traffic circle, you have to slow down. You can't go fast. So the red light and green light's a great concept, but is it really helping us? It's causing more accidents, and now you're seeing that evolution, and I'm seeing it in my communities where they're taking out traffic lights and putting in circles because they know that it makes people do the right thing. So if you want to create and change behavior and you want to innovate your business, you need to teach people what it means, teach them behavioral science, teach them team building and leadership and coaching. Coaching is so important. I think that every leader should have a coach, and should make sure that all their teams have coaches, or create a coaching style or a coaching culture. I believe that you can create coaching cultures in an organization, and I've done that, and it's pretty amazing what it does if you can, because leadership saying you should do this is naturally our brain says, no, maybe I shouldn't do that. So because that's how we're designed, right? Our minds are designed, our bodies our brain is designed to protect us. And so naturally when somebody says something to you that you don't really necessarily agree with or believe in, depending on your personality, you may go, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to go in that direction. Whereas if you ask cognitive questions and you get somebody really thinking about what it is you're trying to solve and asking them deep thinking questions, so they start to go back to their own mind and think about how they solve that problem, they'll stop coming to you eventually, because they'll start to think about how I can be self-empowered to come up with my own insights and spend some time thinking, or even soundboarding, right? Instead of having somebody come in your office and say, I need you to tell me how to do this, you can say, I'd like to bounce this off of you, right? Can I bounce an idea off of you and a thought off of you? And then you can listen, be present, and listen to that person so that you can really understand where they're coming from and how can you get them into deeper thought so they can solve their own problems. And doing that on teams and teaching them those techniques can be amazing for an organization.